What's going on, everyone? This is Kevin Breeze here, and I recently upgraded from the iPhone 8 Plus to the iPhone XS Max. So in a previous video, I pointed out all of the things that I noticed were kind of a downgrade with the iPhone XS Max versus the 8 Plus. The things that I've noticed that this phone doesn't do as well as this phone. Now, in this video, I want to point out all the great things the iPhone XS Max does, and there really are quite a few of them. So without further ado, let's get started. So the first thing that I was pleasantly surprised with the iPhone XS Max is the notch. Now, I was kind of dreading getting a phone with the notch because I really don't like it, and I thought it was really annoying, especially on the iPhone X from last year. But the cool thing is that the notch has remained kind of the same size, but the display has gotten a lot larger on the iPhone XS Max. So what that has resulted in is a notch that's a lot less intrusive than the notch on the iPhone X, or I guess even the iPhone XS. But the notch on this phone really isn't a big deal because it's a lot smaller in comparison to the whole display. So it's much more insignificant on here than it is on the iPhone XS or the iPhone X. So that doesn't mean I'm a huge fan of the notch, but the notch doesn't bother me anymore. Another thing I really like about the iPhone XS Max is that it was really easy to set up. I don't know if this was a new feature with iOS 12, I think it is, but when I first opened this phone up, it noticed that my old iPhone was like right next to it, and it asked me if I wanted to send over my Wi-Fi passwords, all my data, like any data that wasn't like big in volume, like photos or anything like that, but just kind of the basic data to get started. I was able to just hit one button and immediately this phone had all my old stuff as far as passwords and things go like that to get started. So that was great because I didn't have to punch in my Apple ID, I didn't have to put in my Wi-Fi password. I was just able to quickly get started here, and it really did save me a lot of time. So good job, Apple, I'm glad you put that in your software. Another thing I like about the iPhone XS Max is the size of the display. I really think they nailed it here. I think that the larger display size here in the iPhone XS Max makes it way more worth it than buying the regular sized iPhone XS. In fact, when I picked this up at the Apple Store, the employee there was telling me that they weren't really selling any iPhone XSs. Everybody was going for the Max, because for literally $100 more, you're getting a lot more here. You're getting a bigger display, which really just gives you a lot more benefits. So interestingly, the iPhone 8 Plus and the iPhone XS Max are actually the same size. So they're about the same size, but you get a much larger display here on the iPhone XS Max, so I feel like that's really resulted in quite an upgrade from the iPhone 8 Plus. So it is worth it, really. It is worth it getting the bigger display with the iPhone XS Max. Another thing that I've really liked with the iPhone XS Max so far in the 24 hours that I've been using it is that the camera is really awesome. The camera takes some great pictures. I really like the front-facing portrait mode. I also like the regular portrait mode. And the camera is just yet another upgrade in the evolution of the iPhone. I think this definitely has to be one of the best smartphone cameras on the market, and it's definitely one of the best smartphone cameras that I've ever used. And the last thing about the iPhone XS Max, at least that I could think of right now, that I really like is Face ID. Now originally I was kind of disappointed that they didn't include some sort of fingerprint sensor on the iPhone XS Max, whether that was maybe under the display on the front or maybe on the rear, but they did decide not to put in any sort of fingerprint sensor. And so far, in the last 24 hours of me using this phone, it hasn't bothered me. It works really well, and I know that from the iPhone X from last year, the Face ID has been improved. They have better technology in this phone, so the Face ID just works better in general. So I'm just really happy about that. I don't really miss the home button, and I don't really miss Touch ID at this point. And I never really used the iPhone X as a daily driver from last year. I just continued to use my iPhone 8 Plus since getting it. So I never really had that whole swiping experience or the Face ID experience with my iPhone, because this is the first time I've had an iPhone as my daily driver that uses that technology. So if you're worried about Face ID, don't. It works well, even at nighttime it works well, so you'll like it. It'll work well for you. So this concludes the list of things that I really like about the iPhone XS Max. There probably are more things that I'll kind of notice over the next weeks and months that I use this phone, but for now, as someone who previously used an iPhone 8 Plus as my last phone, those are some of the things that I've really liked about the iPhone XS Max. So if you enjoyed this video, definitely subscribe. I'm going to be doing a lot more iPhone videos on the channel now that I have the iPhone XS Max. So I hope you enjoyed it. Give this video a like as well. If you have any questions or anything, leave them down in the comment section below, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.